Recently, I saw the video clip of someone from a South American country speaking Yoruba, and people shared that video so much and posted it online just to prove the popularity of our language, because they feel excited that our language is being adopted by people of other races and from other places. The person in that video was Caucasian, and meaning we say white skin, but I've never seen a white person in the real sense of it. The color white is this color here, and I don't know, maybe anyone has seen in real life or their dreams someone that looks like this. So but that person is called Caucasian. That's not like our own melanin skin. They have more I don't know which color to call it. So what is the big deal about that? That's the point today. Because we Nigerians alone, Africans, the English-speaking Africans alone are hundreds of thousands. Nigeria alone, English is our official language, and over 200 million people speak this English language. Over 200 million. Now, if you now see one individual or a few individuals, at best a handful of individuals who are capable of speaking your own language in a population abroad, maybe highest, maybe they are 5, 10, 15, 20, 100, compared to millions of people. Nigeria alone, over 200 million people. The only person that doesn't speak or understand English, they are very few. They are very, 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 very few and far between. Maybe in Thailand, but it is still the operational language in Nigeria. So, and in some parts of Africa, I know they speak English in Kenya. South Africa, even though it has a heritage of Dutch and some of those mixture, there's a lot of nationalities, that formed South Africa during the apartheid. They still speak English as their official language. There's so many countries. Ghana, official language is English. Sierra Leone, Liberia, many of these countries, the official language is English. So by the time you look at it, you're talking about the population of maybe 400 million, 500 million or more Africans speaking just English. Mind you, there are countries that were colonized by the Dutch. There are countries that are colonized by Spain. They will definitely have some Spanish heritage. The Dutch ones will have, Dutch heritage. The ones of English, even French, for example. We have Francophone and Anglophone. We have French-speaking West African countries. We even have French-speaking North African countries. There are some North African countries that are speaking French as their official language. There are West African countries, Cameroon. Cameroon has both English and French, but French is the dominant language, is the official language. The English is just the second language. And you can see, anyway, the Republic of Benin, you have French. Also, we have Togo, Cote d'Ivoire, and like that. Mali. What I'm saying here is this: when the colonialists came, they passed their language to us. They passed their culture to us. It still reflects in the way we behave, in the way we do our things, in the way we dress. So, and that cuts across a lot of our population. Those French people had culture. They have, the approach of assimilation. You have the British. We are still wearing suits. We are eating a lot of their food. Their culture, dominates our culture in a lot of ways. Their language is the language of instruction in school. Is the language of instruction in worship places. Is the language we do use for business, for commerce, for industry, for everything that is, commercially oriented. It is the language. It is the language of communication. So when you look at it very closely, you will realize that it is not a big deal that someone from another place entirely, which is just a minority, speaks your language. Do you know one thing? People that lived in Nigeria or were born in Nigeria, they have one opportunity. There are a lot of them that were Yorubas. They never traveled to Igbo land, But just because there's a lot of Igbos clustering there, there are a lot of Edo, there's a lot of people from Delta. Those days it used to be Bendel. Some people understand some Bendel language just because they are living, they were raised in Ajegule. Some people understand Igbo language just because they were raised in Ajegule, because they mixed with those. That place is a melting pot of all Nigerian tribes. Do you notice that when our Nigerians, when Yoruba travel to the north, for example, if they're able to speak Hausa, it becomes an asset for them, because language is magical. It's like an open door. It's a key. If someone speaks your language, that is just a commonality between you. You find there's a communist. Like you have communion, community, communication. That word, that operational word, communist. You have something in common with them. If you go to where they are selling ram, you want to buy ram, and you are able to even speak Hausa, you will get a discount. If you go to where they are selling maybe this cart pushers that sell fruit, if you're able to sell their language has a way of penetrating people into people's soul. You will get discount for it. If somebody goes to the north, for example, and is able to interact very well, it gets easily accepted into the society. So language is a key that opens doors. What I'm saying here is this: for us to over-celebrate that just an individual in the abroad speaks one of our many languages, it's not a big deal. Whereas millions of us speak their own language right here. Mind you, during the colonial era, these people, we're all language neutral before. But they indoctrinated us in those languages, and those languages now have replaced and dominated our own languages to the extent that some people right now are in a big quagmire because they can't get their children to speak their native language. They are now even using money. They are paying people to teach their own children their own language, because at a point in time, people thought it was a civilized thing. It was part of their Western civilization for that they acquired civilization, and that what do they call it now? That brainwashing. You understand? For them to think that the language of the what would I put it now? The colonial masters was higher than their own. So they feel like you are. In fact, they used to say something that's very, very funny and ridiculous. They'll say you are speaking vernacular. When someone calls your own native tongue vernacular, it is an insult. In fact, when we were growing up in school, if you just manage to speak something to your neighbor, to your classmate, there was a time that the class captain will have to write name of those people who are speaking vernacular. Oh my God. You see how ridiculous that is? They have to write the name of people that speak their mother tongue. They will write them because there is a penalty for that when the teacher comes back. That you speak your own mother tongue. Anyway, the benefit of speaking mother tongue, there are countries where the children they are taught, they are raised in their native language, and those countries are doing very, very well. Most of those countries that did not allow the foreign language to now dominate them, even though they use them as second languages, they have advanced in technology, they have advanced in every aspect of human endeavor. But the point is this: when you look at it, the language thing, for example, it is very, very, very key to the influence that the colonialists have. The Dutch, till today, most of the countries that were colonized by Dutch are speaking Dutch. Most of the ones, in fact, if not all, it's very difficult to change the national language because they left themselves. They left footprints. They left their prints in our brain, in everything, in our social fabric, in our society, in our culture. Everything was taken over. So if an individual is speaking our own language, it's just an individual. One of the things that happened was that because they had the ones that were able to read, to write, most of the histories, sorry, I pluralized history there, most of the histories of different original African, people that they wrote were twisted. And in such a way that suits, when someone else writes your story, he's going to write it to suit himself from his own lens, from his own perspective. That's how he's going to write it. And that's what they did. Till today, I can speak of the Yoruba people in Nigeria, that some of those written history, ancient history of the early, after the slave period, is still troubling the whole land of Yoruba today. How does this have to do with an individual speaking Yoruba? I just feel that there's nothing magical, there's nothing spectacular about it. Language is normal, it can be acquired. If you check it scientifically, you can Google this. It is proven that a child can learn 3 languages between from the time the child starts speaking to age 5. In fact, some authorities say 5. By age 7, you can learn up to 7 languages, and it will not confuse one another. That's why I said about people who were raised in Nigeria, for example, they will learn those languages without learning them, because they will hear. It's just like a father and a mother coming from 2 different cultures. If you are speaking the 2 languages to the child, the child will respond to both. It is when the child starts growing that they will now filter. He or she, the child will now filter, oh, this one is Igbo, this one is Benin, or this one is Yoruba, or this one is Igala, or this one is Nupe, or Hausa, or Fulani, or Kanuri, or Ibibio, or Efik, or Afan. It is only when that child grows that he will know the difference. And he will go to school and be trained in English. He will still understand it, because their brain is fresh.